Alrighty, it is March 11th, 2025. And let me see where this car is going here. I'll go this way. Anyway, March 11th, 2025. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what is happening in the world of AI. This is a fascinating time to be living because when we talk about AI, there is so much that is taking place. And it is so fast-paced that 1 minute you have something going on, the next minute you have something else going on. And it's this fast-paced AI technology that we are seeing really taking over a lot of these different industries. And so now we have OpenAI working with the United States Army in particular. And they've done work with the Air Force before in terms of pilot situational awareness and all that. And that was always a fascinating thing. And I have to say, when it comes to the AI side of things, you know, we're at this point where you really have to begin to question the efficacy of what is taking place. Because the efficacy of what is taking place is enormous right now. Okay. ChatGPT has a version of ChatGPT out where they are utilizing it to take care of the DEIA situation, thanks to President Trump's legislative order to remove DEI and all that crazy stuff out of government. And so they are utilizing what they are calling CamoGPT to remove DEIA out of the Army. So that's point number one. And point number two, OpenAI is now contracting with the Army. Again, Trump's legislative order. They're contracting with the Army to continue removing DEIA initiatives out of the sphere of the Army. Naturally, then, it stands to reason that other military organizations such as the Air Force, Coast Guard, Marines, Navy, etc., will do likewise. And so, our next question becomes, at what point is AI doing too much? At what point is AI doing the work of a human that humans should be doing and that we are calling too much as humans? For example, is there AI oversight that's taking place? Where do we draw the line between AI efficacy and human values? Remember, AI is doing the job of what humans would have done 10 years ago. In California, there is a place where they are utilizing AI servers at restaurants. I think it's in, I should know this. Burbank, Oakland, somewhere like that. Pasadena. Anyway, it's someplace in California where they are utilizing AI servers. And again, at what point do we say that enough is enough in terms of what AI is and what AI isn't allowed to do? Where do we draw that line? And so, we're really moving in this AI industry into, frankly, some questionable territory. Now, I want to be careful because I use AI daily. I just used AI to take pictures. I just used AI to take pictures, and so AI is not all bad. AI is a huge blessing. But there's got to be checks, there's got to be balances, and we have to figure out as consumers of this technology, where do we as individuals, where are we wanting to draw this line? And so, again, with the Army contracting with OpenAI, I think it stands to reason that other AI organizations and other military organizations are going to contract together.
3517, cross 227.
One thing that we do know is that Microsoft is one of those companies that are contracting with the military. Microsoft is another one. Now, I shudder to think of, what happens if Meta contracts with them? Microsoft, I get. OpenAI, I get. Microsoft? No. No. I'm sorry, Meta, no. Meta 1,000 times no. Meta makes things up way too much. ChatGPT, yeah, they make things up, but not nearly to the degree of Meta. So, again, CamoGPT is the OpenAI version that is working with the military to rid the Army specifically of DEIA initiatives. So, we're in some very fascinating times with AI, as I've said already. So, I wanted to throw that out there because as the AI market changes and as we start seeing influxes in AI technology, things are just going to become more and more wild. It's going to become more and more bizarre. And we're at a day and age where I think we should be keeping up to date with what's happening in the AI world. And again, I know for me as a blind individual, I use AI on a regular basis to take pictures. I use AI on a regular basis anymore to see what's in my videos. What's happening in my videos. And so these are things that I personally use AI for on a regular basis. And so I'm not saying that AI is bad, but I do believe that we have to have checks and balances. There's one more thing that I want to cover before I end this video, and that is this. Ooh, look at that sun. Anyway, there's a OpenAI employee who is kind of upset. I believe he's an ex-employee. And I just saw in my DLVR newsletter that this ex-employee, previous employee, and I just want to differentiate because X is now its own thing. So, I'm just kind of differentiating there. This OpenAI employee, this previous OpenAI employee, said, I am astounded at the fact, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm astounded at the fact that OpenAI went towards a more uncensored, more radicalized AI, all because of pandering to political differences in presidential administrations. And again, I'm paraphrasing. So, I think he brings up a really good point. And now go ahead and explain why. When you look at the previous administration, so we're talking President Biden, we take a look at the previous administration, we see these AIs more censored, we see these AIs more guarded, and we see these AIs more involved in output to the degree that some of these AIs would even censor a politically based question. Or maybe it would give a left-leaning answer to a question. Now, though, because we're under President Trump, we don't have that issue anymore. And so this employee, this previous OpenAI employee, I think his name was like Greg Brosich or something like that. Anyway, I still have the email. I don't know if I'll have a copy of it for much longer. Maybe I'll tack something on to the end of this video. I doubt it. But anyway, this gentleman was talking about the political pandering of these AI companies. And frankly, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So, we're, as I said already, we're at that point where the AI side of things is kind of like, well, what is going to happen next? How will this pan out in the future? If we get a Democratic president in 2028, 2029, are we going to see Sam Altman saying, okay, well, we're going to go back to a more censored, more guarded model of ChatGPT? And it's going to be fascinating to see how that plays out in the years to come. Within the next 5 years, however, we're going to see a huge AI boost. This is my prediction. We're going to see a huge AI boost in the artificial intelligence world. We're going to see a huge AI boost in how these AIs interact with human beings. And we're going to see an AI boost that is practically going to open Pandora's box. I really do. I think that is where we're heading within the next 5 years. And it will only be after these 5 years, after we get a Democratic president in the White House. Now, I don't know if that'll happen in 2028, 2029, or if that's going to happen in, 2032. I don't know how that's going to play out. But I really do. I think we're going to open up Pandora's box here with AI. And I think it's only going to be a matter of time before these AIs become so uncensored that they might as well not be guardrailed at all. Case in point, Grok XAI. There's a mode on the XAI called Unhinged. There's another one called Argument. And these modes are completely uncensored.
Direct to Victory, Service 3680.
So see, this is where we're heading with a company like Elon Musk's XAI. And it looks like that's where we're heading with companies like Sam Altman's OpenAI. And so again, where does that leave us in 2026? When 2025, when we've closed the door on 2025, wow, that sounds bright. When we've closed the door on 2025, okay, where does that leave us in these AIs being less guarded and more uncensored? I'll tell you where it leaves us. I think it leaves us in a volatile situation where, as the body of Christ seeks to use some of these AI tools, we find that the body of Christ is in more sin than what they have ever expected to be under, than what they've ever anticipated to be under. Because these AI tools are going to be so radically right-leaning, so uncensored, so unguarded. That, no, 3517, buddy. Anyway, they're going to be so unguarded
12672.
that it's going to be so easy for these companies, for Christians, to fall into sin. Because these companies are going to make it so much easier. Because these AIs are going to be so unguarded, so uncensored. Yeah, they're going to say, well, we have guardrails. Okay, maybe you do. But they're going to be so far and few in between that they might as well not even be there. Case in point, what we have going on right now with Meta.
1539.
You know, we're kind of at that point with Meta where we see, okay, Meta says we have guardrails. Meta says that we're censored. But utilizing Meta tells me they're not as guardrailed as they want you to think. They're not as censored as they want you to think. Now, with the AIs becoming insistently more uncensored, courtesy of the Trump administration, it's opening Pandora's box. So, Christians, listen, stand alert, be wise, be careful how you use these tools, because they absolutely will suck you in. So that is my thoughts on where we're at today. And my name is Timothy. Thank you for joining me.
12672 286 Charlie.